Hi everyone, today I'm gonna teach you guys how to use the preposition. Salut mes amis, j'espère que vous allez très bien. Dans cette leçon, nous allons donc voir ensemble comment utiliser la préposition. Mbote na bandeko nyonso tu boza kolandanga, lelo na kotangisa bino ndenge nini toitilizaka ba préposition na anglais, naza mpona koaide bino. Bakuru na ngai eza nango ofele, nazofutisa mbongo te. Alors, so que l'anglais a moins complications à moins côté à ba préposition, ok? Même na français, hein? Même na français, ba préposition is un peu no bandeni na to ban anglais like fuzzy, hein? Guys, you know when you use the preposition in some situations, it look fuzzy, okay? But I'm gonna try my best as I can to help you guys, okay? So. Oh, by the way, I used to be an ESS student. All right. So I master English in my back home, US a little bit, and here. Okay. So yeah. So we got here into, onto, in, on, along, from, out of, to, toward, at, for. We got here. So you see these two. These one are like the preposition, okay? So I put like this that way you guys gonna have an idea. Okay, every time when, like for example, to drive, to work. Okay, so every time when you see to on front of verb. Anyway, when I'm gonna try my best as I can to cover a lot of stuff here, but I'm gonna go step by step, okay? I don't want to give you a lot. No, I don't want that. Same thing here, okay? Same thing here. I want to show you guys, okay? So in some situation, if I go back a little bit, this part, some of the verb we use for movement, okay? So like when I go back here, okay, some of the verb we use for the movement. Some of them, some of the preposition we use them when we talking about the movement. The other one when we talk about the direction. The other one we use them when we talk about the time. The other one the location. Okay, so we have to be careful. Okay, when we use them. Come here. Okay, so like to run, to travel, to walk, to journal, to jump, to return. Okay, we have to be careful here. Okay, so after, at, before, by, during, for, from. Okay, somebody can say, like, let's say I ask my girlfriend, where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? I'm from China. I'm from Vietnam. I'm from Japan. I'm from Korea. I'm from Germany. I'm from France. I'm from Canada. I'm from Congo. Okay. I'm from Cuba. All right. I'm from Jamaica. I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm from Holland or Netherlands. I'm from South Africa. I'm from Russia. I'm from Egypt. I'm from Angola. I'm from, let's say, India. I'm from Philippines. Okay? I'm just giving an example. Okay? We come here. All right? These one are the preposition by, during, for, after, at, before. Okay? Since, to, until, from, in, on, for, by. So I just put like this in case, you know. So we come here. We're gonna do some exercise together. Amy and I walked blah 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 the river. Kevin walked blah 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 the river. Abby and Amy walked blah 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 the river. The Undertaker walked blah 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 the river. Gillen and Gillen walked blah 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 the river. Okay, now we're gonna put the right preposition there. Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys maybe let's say 3 minutes to do it, okay? So let's put the right answer. Amy and I walked. What the right answer there? What should we put there? To, with, at, or what? Amy and I walked along the river. Okay? Kevin walked from the river. Sorry, wait, here. From the river. Abby and Amy walked into. Okay? Into the river. Not in the river, into the river. The undertaker walked to the river. Right? Glenn and Glenn walked. Here so again kind of a little bit tricky, but your word. Okay? Glenn and Glenn walked toward the river. Okay? So we're gonna look at the right answer, all right? If you make a mistake, it's okay. It's okay. I used to be an ESI student, guys. I used to be an ESI student. English is not my first language. No, no, no. So we come here. We're gonna look at the right answer here. Amy and I walked along the river. Kevin walked from the river. Abby and Amy walked into the river. The undertaker walked to the river. Glenn and Glenn walked toward the river. Okay? So when you take a look, here is the preposition. Okay? Here is the preposition. Okay? Here is the preposition. Okay? This one, the preposition. Here is the preposition. Okay? So the preposition don't change. In French, we have a two part. When you look at the part of the speech in French or English, in French you're gonna see we have a two part. The other part can change. The other part don't change. We call them variables. Des mots variables, les mots invariables. C'est-à-dire les mots invariables don't change. From doesn't change. You look at to doesn't change. Into doesn't change. Toward doesn't change. Okay, because when we use the like I said, we have the mot variable, invariable. Okay, the mot invariable don't change, such as from, into, toward, in don't change. Okay, so just remember that preposition don't change. Okay, so the verb like the verb, adjective, article, the noun change. Okay, in that case, we're gonna call them the mot variable. Okay, in some situation, when you hear somebody say constant, something doesn't change. Okay, so now come here. We're gonna do this one. Okay, Amy and I are going blah 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 the supermarket. Amy and I going blah 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 the supermarket. Okay, so we're gonna put the right preposition there. Okay, so Amy and I are going to the supermarket. Amy and I are going toward the supermarket. Okay. 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 So the question here is Some of you may say, then what the difference is? What's going on? Amy and I going to the supermarket. Amy and I going toward the supermarket. What the difference is? Okay, here, what the way I understand it. Amy and I are going to the supermarket. It means that we're going straight to the supermarket. We're not changing our direction, okay? So you're not changing it. You're going straight to the supermarket. Now, Amy and I are going toward the supermarket. Let's say I'm driving. Okay, I'm going to the supermarket. I'm driving. I'm driving. Oh, whoops. Something happened. I changed the direction. Instead of going to the supermarket, in this case, no. Okay? So that's the easy way I can say it in case you don't get it. Or let's say, for example, you don't get it. Let's say you don't get it. I'm gonna repeat again, okay? Amy and I are going to the supermarket. In this case, I'm going straight to the supermarket. I'm not changing my mind. I'm going there. Now, Amy and I are going toward the supermarket. Means that I'm driving or I'm walking, going to the supermarket. What happened? I changed my mind. And I say, okay. I go to the let's say the pharmacy. Instead of going to the supermarket, I change my mind. I go to the pharmacy. Or let's say let's say Amy and I are going toward the, let's say because in Canada we have a different supermarket or like when you go do the grocery, right? So let's say I go to the Freshco. Or let's say Amy and I are going toward the, let's say food basics or metro. These are the like the place you can go and do the grocery, right? So in this case, when I say Amy and I are going toward the supermarket, right? So instead of going there, right, I end up changing my mind and I go to the, let's say maybe bank, right? So it's like you decide to change your mind instead of going there and you go to something else, okay? Because it's a little bit kind of tricky there in case you don't get it. Yeah, so in case you don't get it, just watch them a few times. You should be good, okay? So here we go. Amy and I are going to the supermarket. Amy and I are going toward the supermarket. Okay, we come here. We're gonna do this now. Amy and I run blah 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 the house. Amy and I run blah 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 the house. So what's the right answer here? So I'm gonna give you guys 2 minutes. Okay. Okay, let's go. Amy and I are run into the house. Into the house. Okay. Amy and I run in the house. Okay? In the house. Now, some of you may say, what the differences between into and in? Look, we use into for movement or direction. Okay? Into. So we use that for movement or direction. In this case, when I say Amy and I run, run is a movement. This verb, run. Now, Abby and I run in the house. So in this case, in and on, okay, both of them are used for the location, movement, and the direction. Okay. So, for example, I live in Canada. I live in Cuba. I live in Germany. I live in Congo. I live in Holland. I live in Germany. I live in Iraq. I live in South Africa. I live in Zimbabwe. I live in Rwanda. I live in Congo. I live in Angola. I live in Ghana. I live in Trinidad. I live in Jamaica. I live in Japan. I live in Egypt. I live in Pakistan. I live in Afghanistan. I live in India. I live in Italy. I live in France. I live in Belgium. I live in, let's say, Iran. I live in Saudi Arabia. I live in, let's say, Philippines. Okay? So, in that case, we talk about the country, like the location. So, if in case we talk about the movement, Amy and I run in the house. In that case, we talk about run is a movement. It's a movement. So, Amy and I run into the house. So if you don't get it, it's okay. You're gonna get it right. Trust me. Even myself before, when I used to be an ESS student, oh, trust me. So, okay. So, what I'm talking about into, in. Okay. Amy and I run into the house. Amy and I run in the house. Okay. We come here. Okay. Kevin fell, blah, 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 the floor. Kevin fell, blah, 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 the floor. So you guys gonna have like, let's say, let me give you guys 3 minutes. Okay. And then we're gonna do this together. Okay. So let's do this together. Kevin fell, blah, 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 the floor. So Kevin fell onto the floor. Okay, because it's a movement. Okay? When you fell, it's a movement. Okay? The movement, boom, you fell. You know, like when you walk on snow, boom, you fell, right? It's a movement. Okay? And then we can also say Kevin fell on the floor because we use on for the movement as well. Okay, so we use, remember, on can be used for the location, movement, and the direction. So in and on are used for what? Location, movement, and the direction. Okay. Okay, I live on. Let's say, for example, we use on apple jams, on fennel, on. You don't want to say I live in Main Street, on Main Street, on Apple James. Please watch the other video because when I say Apple James, Feno in Canada, we have a street name, avenue. Okay, so you're gonna hear sometimes people, like guys in Canada. I don't wanna get out my topic in Canada. From 100%, I mean, like in Ontario, this street, if you go, like, let's say you're in Toronto, you're in Mississauga, you're in Hamilton or London, Ontario, this street, you're gonna face it. Most of the time, you're gonna hear this street, York Street. Okay, York, Main Street, King Street, Queen Street. This street, even when you go in the United States, you're gonna hear that. It is similar. If you live in Canada, you go in the US, you're gonna hear the name of this street. In Canada, we have a Queen Street. In the United States, they got a Queen Street. We got King Street here. We got Main Street. We got most of our street, their name similar to the name of the English, the British. Okay. So in this case, when I say Kevin fell onto the floor, Kevin fell on the floor because on, we use on for location, movement, and the direction. Okay. So yeah, so I want you guys to remember this. Okay. You have to know this. Into, onto, we use this for the movement and direction. Right? Now, in and on, we use this for what? Location, movement, and direction. Okay? So remember that. Right? Here we go. Kevin fell onto the floor. Kevin fell on the floor. Okay? Now we're gonna do the next one. So here we're gonna look at holiday, at lunchtime, eh? At midnight, at the end of the day, at 3:30 p.m., at 6:30 6:36 a.m. I'm just saying this slowly for you guys, okay? And we have on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday, on Saturday, on Sunday, okay? I know some of you go, oh my God, why are you reading so slow like this? Guys, calm down. We cannot, everything cannot be fast, 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 fast. All right. We come here in the morning, in December, in 2003, in summer. So you can see the differences. If I go back a little bit, you take a look at holiday, at lunchtime, at midnight, at the end of the day, at 3:30 p.m., at 6:36 a.m. You're gonna see I use at. Eh? This one, you're gonna see this. I use a lot of at. You're gonna see here at. This one, holiday. Okay, at holiday, at lunchtime, at midnight, at the end of the day, at 3:30 p.m., at 6:36 a.m. Okay? When we come here, you're gonna see I use a lot of on. When you see here, a lot of on. Okay, a lot of on here. On Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday, on Saturday, on Sunday. Okay, we come here. You're gonna see I use in. Okay, in. So you're gonna see. Okay, so in the morning, in December, in 2003, in summer. Okay. I'm here. Now we're going to do this exercise together. Steve and Steven are starting a new project, blah, blah, blah. The 4th of the month. Kevin and Amy likes going camping, blah, 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 the summer. Now, I want you guys to put the right preposition there, okay? If you don't get it, we're going to work together, okay? Please take your time. You have 3 minutes, okay? Please. Okay, let's do together. Steve and Steven are starting a new project on the 4th. So we're going to use on. Okay? On. Steve and Steven are starting a new project on the 4th of the month. Okay? Or we can say Steve and Steven are starting the new project on the 4th day of the month. So we need to ask you, we can change it a little bit there, okay? So what do you guys think? Should we change it or just leave it the way it is? We're gonna leave it the way it is. Steve and Steven are starting a new project on the 4th of the month. Kevin and Amy likes going camping, blah, 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 the summer. Kevin and Amy like going camping in the summer. So it's gonna be in the summer. In. Remember, guys, remember, like I said, remember? So we use in and on for the location, movement, and the direction. Okay? So remember that. Some of you, if you are a beginner, in case you are a beginner, yeah, you're gonna struggle to use this, okay? So here the right answer, okay? Steve and Steven are starting a new project on the 4th of the month. Kevin and Amy like going camping in the summer. Okay, so here we go. Here, okay? Steve and Steven are starting a new project on the 4th of the month. Kevin and Amy like going camping in the summer. Okay, we come here. Steve and Steven are starting a new project on the 4th of the month. Kevin and Amy like going camping in the sun, in summer. And we're gonna do the next one. Steve worked here, blah 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 blah. So Steve worked here, blah blah blah, 1999, blah blah blah, 2012. Eh? Some people you're gonna hear, they're gonna say 2012. You can just say 2012, okay? So Steve works here, 1999, blah blah blah, 2012. Eh? Abby will be in Asia, blah blah blah, January, blah blah blah, April. Okay, now I'm gonna give you guys just 3 minutes or second to do it. Okay, so here we go. Steve worked here from eh, from 1999 eh, to 2012. Eh? Abby will be in Asia from eh, from January until April. Until April. Okay? So we're gonna write until. Till April. Okay? So Steve worked here from 1999 to 2012. Abby will be in Asia from January until April. Okay, guys? So look, I know it sounds a little bit complicated, but please don't panic, okay? So we are here to work. Okay? Come here. Steve works here from 1999 to 2012. Abby will be in Asia from January until April. Okay. We have here we got Steve and Steven will be there, blah blah blah, your birthday. Abby can be here, blah blah blah, 5 o'clock. Galen wants to speak with you, blah blah blah, the end of the day. My wife and I spend a lot, blah blah blah, time in Vancouver during the winter months. Steve will not come home, blah blah blah, next summer. My wife and I went out to dinner, blah blah blah, work yesterday. Now I want you guys to do this, okay? So you have let's say 9 minutes, okay? And then we're gonna do this together, all right? Okay, let's do this together, all right? Okay, Steve and Steven will be there for for your birthday. Okay? Next one, Abby can be here by 5 o'clock. By 5 o'clock. Ghislain wants to speak with you before, okay, before the end of the day. Okay? My wife and I spend a lot of time, of times. Okay? My wife and I spend a lot of time in Vancouver during the winter month. Again, in case you don't get it, my wife and I spend a lot of time in Vancouver during the winter months. Okay? That's time. Okay. So I'm just put some in case you don't get it. So the next one is Steve will not come home. Blah blah blah. Next summer. Steve will not come home until next summer. Okay? Until next summer. Until. So, Steve, in this case here, be careful. You see that name? Instead of Steve, it's Steven. Okay? Not Steve. So, if I take this off, sound Steve. If I put this, it's going to be Steven. So instead of saying Steve, Steven will not come home until next summer. Okay? Again, Steven will not come home until next summer. My wife and I went out to dinner, blah, 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 working yesterday. Okay? So my wife and I went out to dinner after work yesterday. Okay? Okay? My wife and I went out to dinner after work yesterday. Okay? Guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's take time. Take time. Situation, you try, you don't get it. Trust me, you're gonna get it right. You're gonna get it right. Okay? Don't panic. We come here. See, this one is Steve. This one Steven. Okay, so I'm gonna read for you guys. Steve and Steven will be there for your birthday. Okay, Abby can be here by 5 o'clock. Ghislain want to speak with you before the end of the day. My wife and I spend a lot of time in Vancouver during the winter months. Stephen will not come home until the next summer. My wife and I went out to dinner after work yesterday. Okay? So, the pronunciation, guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. If, let's say, you move to North America, you are 25, 23, 20, you are up, you're gonna struggle a little bit to have you're gonna have an accent. Okay, when I used to live in the States, I didn't have an accent. Just when I moved to Canada. So for the accent, don't worry about that. As long you know how to write, how to read, you understand the material, guys, trust me. Do not waste your time and life to know how come you don't pronounce this like the English. How come you don't pronounce this as American? Guys, trust me. If you live in states, okay, each state, okay, let's say you live in Michigan, they have their own accent. You go in Philadelphia, they got their own accent. You go to LA, California, they have their own accent. You go to Ohio, they got their accent. Here in Canada, you live in Ontario, guess what? They got their accent. You go to Newfoundland, guess what? They got their own accent. You go in Ghana, they have the same thing, their own accent. You go to Jamaica, same thing. You go to South Africa, same thing. You go in India, same thing. You go to let's say Zimbabwe. So don't waste your time. Same thing in French. When you speak French, if you are Congolese, let's say in Congo, Congolese have their own accent when they speak in French. Same thing Quebec. So don't waste time just to figure out how come he doesn't pronounce this like this? How come? You're wasting your time, life, the energy. As long you know how to read, you know how to write, you know how to speak, good enough. Okay?